Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for another session, if you will, of talking to voice actors, etc., etc. Because, as we've learned with our last conversation, these voice actors have other skills. So, we're going to explore everything. So, today we have Melody Rainelle. And Melody, you and I met in class, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so happy we did.
Me too. It's been a great relationship.
It has. So, today, of course, we're going to be talking about voice acting. We're going to be talking about audiobook narration, and we're going to be talking about other things that Miss Melody does. So, first of all, let's start with we've already said that we met in class. What was your first voice acting class?
Well, my first class was actually audio engineering. I felt that was really a really important thing for me. I have an engineering background, so I started out like I got to know how to do this right and edit properly. And then I went to a business class with John, and then after that, I finally got into 101 for voice acting through closing credits.
There you go. And there's a theme there. I mean, a lot of us that's how we met. So we're going to be talking a bit about closing credits as a school for voice acting. How cool. First of all, again, a different approach. You are an engineer.
Well, mostly. I'm not a professional engineer, but I've worked in the engineering field. I was in a civil engineering field, transportation engineering for about 15 years before I came over to the voice acting side.
And again, you started your first class in the engineering, the audio engineering side of things, which is interesting. I don't know if a lot of people even realize that those classes exist. I think a lot of people just kind of figure it out as they
Hmm.
go. I know I did. And then I took the engineering class and went, whoa, this is way over my head.
I actually started out watching Booth Junkies videos on YouTube. I'm like, I got to learn how to do this. And he had Reaper, and I'm like, okay, I got to watch. So I watched all his Reaper videos at the time. And then I was like, okay, I needed to learn engineering. And I saw it on Casting Call Club advertising the closing credits class. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to do that.
And so you just mentioned Reaper, and
Yes.
Reaper is a DAW that we use to edit our audio. And you use Reaper, which is what we were taught on in that class.
Yes.
Um, and I still use Audacity, which I love actually. And, there are other DAWs out there. And I think that if you just go with what you're comfortable with, I think you'll be okay.
A lot of people use Audacity, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's professional voice actors using Audacity. The catch with Audacity is it's not as user friendly actually as other DAWs. Reaper, for example, and Adobe Audition and other ones are non-destructive editors. Whereas Audacity, if you change it and you change a couple other things, it's very hard to get back to where you were. It's a
That is
destructive
true.
editor. So with Reaper, you can undo all of the changes. You can like if I cut it too short, I can just grab the edge of it and continue my audio file wherever it was, and I can go back and forward as much as I want. So I highly recommend a reasonably priced Reaper, or there's other ones like Twisted Wave, Adobe Audition, which is expensive and subscription wise, but for the basics, what you need, Audacity works perfectly fine. It's just whenever you want to upgrade and find something that's a little more user friendly. Highly recommend.
Exactly. Now, I've worked with Audacity from the beginning, and so I feel like I know a lot about
I bet you do.
Audacity.
I've never used Audacity. So
So it's interesting. So I think it's very user friendly because
okay.
I've only used that, and I have a problem with Reaper, which is why I
Ah,
need to get lessons
okay.
from you.
Not a
So.
problem. Yeah, and that's totally cool. If and I respect that opinion right there, because when you're using it and you're familiar with your software, that's good. But once you get used to another DAW and you realize how much better it could be, it'd be like, wow.
Right. Yes, yes, absolutely.
Adobe Audition, I messed with a little bit, and I want to correct something. I have messed with Audacity a little bit. It's not zero experience in it, but
Okay.
mostly Reaper. But I've messed with Adobe Audition a little bit too, and it actually is even more user friendly than Reaper, but the price tag that goes with it's the problem. But
Yeah.
it's like you can grab the waveform and turn it down, and it's like typical Microsoft shortcuts work perfectly fine, and Reaper is very customizable, and I've got hotkeys for a lot of the stuff I do on a regular repeated basis, so it makes the work process go a lot faster and a lot smoother.
Speaking of hotkeys, yes. So when I first started on Audacity, I was like, shortcuts. Oh my God, you want me to remember shortcuts? Give me a break. I want to just click on the thing up top and go through the whole process. And then I started using shortcuts and
Oh
went,
yeah,
oh my God.
that's actually one of the things I've learned as I've gone through and improved my process. Like my brother, he is a big gamer. He gave me one of these gamer mouse key that has like it's got 12 buttons on the one side and more buttons on top and stuff. And I was like, okay, well that's complicated, but I realized that I could program shortcuts to all these buttons.
There you go.
And all I have to do is click the button now, and it's like all these steps are now one step in one click.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Exactly. It
Talk about
is.
efficiency improving, yes.
And it does save time, and it's interesting. You go, yeah, but what's the difference between 5 clicks and 1 or 2 clicks? Well, it's a couple of seconds,
They add
and it
up,
all adds up.
especially with audiobooks and long form narration.
Exactly. So, would you say that a person starting out would be best to start with Audacity or with Reaper or with something else?
I would highly recommend the Reaper to start with. I think last I checked, and I could be wrong, it might have changed since then, but last I checked, it was like $60 for a small business license or a personal license. And that's a one time fee. I mean, it's supposed to last for like two major like levels or whatever. But I mean, I've been using it since I don't know the last 4 years, and it's still fine for me. So obviously, that $60 has gone a long way. But yeah, and just watch Booth Junkie's Reaper videos on YouTube. He has a great walkthrough of how to set up your DAW for voice acting and how to record basically and how to edit basically. And he's got additional stuff too that's more complicated, which is great. But just getting those basics down and you will be set and you have a good solid DAW that's well respected in the industry, and it will make your life easier. It is non-destructive editing and just well worth it.
What other classes have you taken?
Oh, I've taken a lot of classes. I took improv with June Yoon. I had video acting for voice actors with Carol Leong. I don't know how to pronounce her
I
name.
think it's Liang, and we were in that class together. Liang, I think. Yeah, that was awesome.
My pronunciations, I have to look them up. I'll be completely honest. There's no shame in that, and I failed to do that before this, so sorry.
That's
Tony, I did the demo engineering class. I did his full blown before they made it for voice actors. This shortened. I took the full blown audio engineering class. I took audio engineering for the advanced audiobook voice acting, ADR dubbing, animation with Morgan Berry. 201, 301, of course. I've taken a bunch of classes with Deb Monroe, narration, mastering commercials, mastering characters with Ellie Ray, authentic commercial voiceover with Dave Bison.
yeah. I think we were in that class too. I think together. Is it? Oh gosh, it's Bison Bison. I don't know. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. We love you. You're excellent. Exploring vocal genders, I recently took. That was a really interesting class and very helpful for audiobooks where I'm trying to voice the male characters and the female characters, and I'm a higher pitched female. I don't have much bass in my voice, so that was a very interesting class to learn about the types of patterns and things the masculine narrators
tonalities.
tend to have, yeah, compared to the feminine, more feminine voices, or androgynous, of course, is it's not another category. Um, I also did some announcer class with Deb in a world, the announcer versus the non-announcer, and finally, last but not least, I did take a class with Lao.
I believe it's law,
I think it is Law
Lapidus.
too. Yeah, becoming a VO solopreneur. That was
Yes,
interesting.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the audiobook class with Chris
Mm-hmm.
Boucher, and that's
Mm-hmm.
one we took together recently too. Not recently, but it's been a while. Oh my goodness,
It's been
good
like
couple
three
few years.
years. It's been like 3 years.
Crazy.
So,
And then
yes.
I did do an ADR class, another dubbing class. That was really cool, where closing credits had that, and Tony was doing the audio engineering while John was directing, and that was a really fun class. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, in addition to that, I'm actually on Gravy for the Brain too, so I'm taking some of the mentoring classes there. So
Good for you. So there's a lot of resources that you use outside of closing credits.
there's a lot of opportunities out there if you're looking for them, which is great.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
budget friendly. I think
Yeah.
I need to say that because there are a lot of places that cost a lot of money. Closing credits, I feel like is affordable. It's not $0,
No.
but it's
On the
affordable.
other hand, you're paying professionals for their time to walk you through and coach you and train
Mhm.
you, which is phenomenal. People who are actively working in the industry. So
Exactly.
it's an
Exactly.
investment.
It really is. So if we go back to your experience as a voice actor, what was the first gig that you got, paid or unpaid?
So ironically, the very first audition I put in that I remember, um, I didn't get the role at first, but then they came back later, and because the one they selected dropped out, and then they asked me to come and do the role. So I was like, that was really awesome. That was on Gmod Trek, episode 5, and there my character actually is going to be more important as the episodes get produced, but it's kind of a slow process as most projects are.
Yeah,
But
a lot goes into them, right?
yeah, I mean, a lot of I got a lot of smaller roles from Casting Call Club. It's which is a great resource for a lot of character work. I think there's a lot of opportunities for character work on Casting Call Club. I was actually able to connect. Cartoon Fanatic has had me do several roles for original cartoons they've made. That's on YouTube, which has been a lot of fun.
Excellent.
And of course, I've done quite a few audiobooks, a lot of
Yeah.
children's audiobooks primarily. And my first several were like full blown production where I added music and sound effects and really brought the stories to life. That was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. Um, I've been in at least one video game so far. That was called Funny Fighters. Which I got through the school. Closing credits had that on the job board, and I was selected as one of the characters. So that was cool. I've done some podcast hosting for Game Master Certification Organization, and I got to play one of the lead characters named Lily in Runaway Samurai on an audiobook that Jordan Taper had put together. He does several audiobook style audio dramas, which is fun. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
When you finished, or maybe you did it before. So we took the audiobook class together,
Mm-hmm.
and did you land an audiobook quickly after that class? Would you say?
Um, about a year after we took the
Okay.
class, I got my first audiobook. I had an
Okay.
offer for one. Like as soon as you sign up on ACX and you make your account and you add samples, like you're at the top of the list. And I got an offer, like 2 offers right off the bat, but they were really not something I was overly interested in at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
So I respectfully declined those.
So I feel like people think that it is, it's easy to get audiobooks through ACX, and that's what we're talking about, by the way. We're mostly talking about ACX. There are other areas, but mainly
They're
ACX.
associated with Audible and Amazon, so
Hmm.
it's very popular audiobook place.
Yes, there are a ton of narrators on ACX.
There are a ton, and there's a ton of books too. Like right now, there's like 1,400 plus audiobooks titles available for people to audition for.
And the good thing is you can filter out things that you are not wanting to do. Like you can filter
Absolutely.
out, you don't have to do spicy books if you don't want to, right? You can focus on fiction or nonfiction.
Hmm.
I would say that there are many more fiction books than nonfiction books as a
Yep.
person that kind of I like to do the nonfiction. I'm not averse to doing fiction, and I have done fiction, but I just feel like my voice and my style is more suited for nonfiction,
Well
um,
grounded.
or some. Oh, thanks, or things along those lines. Not a lot of character work, in other words.
All the funny lines and all the funny characters we have to come up with.
Yeah, yeah, which is another thing. I mean,
Oh,
you talked about the fact that you took a class about voice modulation, basically,
yeah.
and it's not that easy. It's not that easy to come up with maybe 15 different characters in a book.
Yeah, 15 is one thing, but I one of the dual narration books I did that I think was like 6-ish hours or 8 hours, I can't remember. We had like 64 characters or some crazy number between the male and the female. And they were all over the world too. It was quite the book. So
There
that
you
was fun.
go.
we were we
Yes.
were and we did a really good job, I think. Me and my partner, we really came up with a good variation on our characters. I was really proud of us. Turned out well.
So, in the world of audiobook narration, one of the things that I do want to get across to people is while it may be one of the easier forms of voice acting that you can get into,
Mhm.
it's not easy to do
No,
necessarily.
no. Yeah, my first audiobook took me like 6 months for a 6 or 7 hour book. So
Yeah.
and burnout is real. It happens. So, but once you get into a groove and you start, really refining your process, finding those efficient shortcuts that make your process faster helps a lot, and once you learn how to get it done properly and you're like, okay, if I have to, I can get this much recorded and edited in a day. And then if you keep that mindset, it's like, okay, if I do this much every day, hey, I can get all these books done a lot faster. So it's definitely doable if you want to make it even a career. There's a lot of people who've made that their career is just audiobook narration. And the more titles you got out there, especially for the royalty share side of things, the more opportunities you have for income, which is always a plus. But
Absolutely.
if you treat it like a job and you're doing the work, you can get places with it. But if you're treating it like a side hustle that you only do when you have time, it'll take a long time. I definitely encourage people starting out with audiobooks to start with a short title. Get something less than 3 hours. Yeah, I know people like, well, they don't sell for very much. True. But if you practice on a shorter title and see if this is for you or not, and not commit to like a 20-hour book right off the bat, uh, you might be in good shape to see whether this is something you want to do on a long term basis and then go into the longer books if you do. But
I agree.
learning how to get a whole finished hour done when it takes you 10 hours per finished hour or more, depending on your level of your editing and I tend to be a higher quality editor, so I'm going through and I'm listening to it. I'm looking at the script and for any mistakes I've made, and I'm looking, and if I hear mouth clicks or background noise, I'm editing those out, and I want to make it as clean and as good as possible. And I know not everybody's on that boat, so I know I put a lot more work into it than I should probably, and then most people do because they say, oh, well, the average is 4 hours per finished hour for people. 4 to 6 hours, and my average is 8 to 10 hours per finished hour, and that's okay. If I'm doing it on a consistent daily basis, I'm still making that forward progress, and it's okay. And it sounds good at the end of the day, in my opinion. So,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
I'd rather be the quality slower, and you're gonna get a good product at the end of the day, than
Exactly.
cheap fast, and not
Yes.
so good. So
Yes. Yes. There are definitely people that just like to churn them out,
yeah,
and their philosophy is that, hey, I'm here to make money, and
yeah, that is a good
that's
thing to do.
that's the fastest this is the fastest way to do it. We all would like to do that, right?
Indeed.
But yes,
So
I'm more in your camp where I'm like, nope, I I need to make sure it sounds okay.
yeah,
Now, I cannot speak for whether or not, if you don't like my voice, that's one thing, but the quality of the audio is going to be good.
yeah. That
So,
that's I always try and do my best. I try and put my best foot forward in whatever I'm working on. So it's gonna have a good
exactly.
effort, even if it takes me way too long.
And speaking of process, how would you say your process has changed from the time you started till now?
Well, specifically for audiobooks, I started out like, oh well, I'm going to record all the character lines, so I have a consistent voice through everything. And so I did that, and then I recorded the narration, and then I edited them all together, which I felt had really, it was a solid product at the end of the day, because it was, all the characters sounded distinctly like the character all the way through. And so I've realized that having the dog clicker to where I needed to insert the character lines, yeah, that process works, but punch and roll is faster. So if
Okay.
you're not using punch and roll, Booth Junkie has a video on it. It's really worth watching. Even if you're using a different DAW, the process or the technique is the same or similar for across the DAWs. But it's a lot more efficient. And you know, I've learned how to find the character voice, and then as I'm going through the chapter, I'm getting better and better at, okay, I need to switch to this character in my head. And so I'm better able now, as after I've done so many audiobooks, to just jump into the character voice and jump back to the narration, and I found that a good flow for that. And and I'm pretty good at like cold reading. So when I hear myself trip up, or I hear something didn't come out right, I'm just, stop, recenter, put your cursor back where you need to pick up, and pick up there. And of course, picking up at good pausing points that make it easier on editing. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, you have a fairly well pre-edited file at the end of the day then with punch and roll, because you've already taken out most of the mistakes,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
then I listen through and find any other mistakes if there are any, and then I'll record and just plug them in, make sure everything sounds like it's in the same tone. Pickups can be challenging, especially if you record and then come back later and you record and your voice is at a different different place.
Yes. Yes.
So it's punch and roll has been great, because I'm just nipping it in the bud. I'm on the same tone, so I just pick up right there, and you got a clean finished product at the end of the day. So just finding ways of being more efficient as I've gone through. But yeah, punch and roll has been amazing, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I don't use punch and roll. I don't use a dog clicker either.
That's all right.
Which, for people that are going, what is with the dog clicker? So a dog clicker is exactly what it is, a dog clicker. But what it does when you're recording is it creates a large spike in your audio that
Mm-hmm.
you can now easily tell that, oh, I made a mistake here. And it just helps to go faster with editing if
Yeah.
you use it in a certain pattern. And I actually don't use a dog clicker. I don't snap. I don't. Some people will clap. Some
Clap.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that actually. I just literally stop and start from wherever I believe is a good place to start, which means I have a whole lot more audio and the mistakes are in there and I do have to edit it out. But for
Mhm.
me, I have found that I'm a very precise editor, and I know you can do this too because you're an amazing editor, but I can literally take half of one word and the other half of the word in a sentence further down, put them together, and you
Oh
would
yeah.
absolutely never know.
Yeah, if you have the skill, it's I do that for sure. S's are my friend, F's are my friend because they're the same. You can just cut it anywhere and mush them together, and it sounds the same, you know.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, and I do a little bit of a hybrid of that too. I do mostly punch and roll, but you know, if I lose my place for some reason, and I'm like, okay, can't remember where that line ended, where I need to pick up, so I'll just start a new section and I just start wherever I can, and then edit together. And if I'm in a role on a really action oriented scene or something really important's happening and you're really focused, you know, I won't even bother with the punch and roll. I'll just keep recording and I'll do exactly what you just said and, go back and just edit out whatever was incorrect. For sure.
Yeah. So, and again, we're talking about how you do things, and I'm going to be talking to other people as well. I've already spoken with Stephen Paul, which I know you do a lot of work with,
Yeah.
and everybody's going to talk about how they do it, and then it's up to our listeners to, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that, I want to, this sounds good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're not saying my way is the best, your way is the
No,
best. Nobody's saying that. It's just presenting.
for sure. Yeah. Everybody has to find what works best for them. And that's cool. There's a million ways to do things, and you can do things whatever way works best for you. And that's perfectly good at the end of the day.
And, most people are interested in, of course, your booth, your microphone. We've already discussed DAWs,
Oh, yeah.
your interface. And again, so interface is just the thing that comes between your microphone, possibly your headphones, and your computer.
Hmm.
It's just a flow. Um, what do you use for your microphone?
I just recently had the pleasure of obtaining a TLM 103, which is what I'm actually speaking to you right now on from my desk. So it's not set up in my booth yet. I haven't got that into my booth because I'm in the middle of audiobooks and I want to have the same sound for the rest of the audiobooks I'm in the middle of. So in my booth right now, I'm using an MXL 990, which was recommended to me, one of the classes I had taken. Before that, I had an AT 2020, but I was having issues with the sibilance. It was a little too high on the sibilance for me. So I switched to the MXL 990, and that's what I've used for the majority of my last 4 or 5 years. But yes, I'm very excited to be implementing my TLM 103. Very happy about
Wow.
that. And I've been using a Scarlett Focusrite 2i2 with the two inputs. I have a splitter cable, which was recommended to me by Lynette, which is phenomenal. This allows me to connect my microphone into both of my ports on my Scarlett Focusrite, and I have one of them set to my normal talking gain, and the other one set lower, so for loud yelling or screaming or anything that happens at a very higher tone. And I record with both tracks in Reaper, so both of them are recording every time I record something. So if I ever find something clipped at my normal tone, I just go ahead and pull in that part from the lower gain one, and I just make sure the levels sound equal, and I will I have a track that I don't have to go and pick up. um,
Wow.
Highly recommend that. Is great. But I also recently acquired an SSL 2 Plus, which also has two audio inputs, and that's currently on my desk right now, which I'm using with my TLM 103 and my headphones. So that's my current into Reaper at the moment.
And when I have these talks with different people, I get something out of every single one. And it just occurred to me that I have two focus rights. I have the solo and I have the 2i2. I have two microphones. One is in my booth, one is out of my booth, which is the one out of my booth is the one we're talking on right now.
Mhm.
And I just realized that I could literally do the same setup you're doing and have a splitter on the 2i2 for the
Mhm.
booth
Yeah.
and work off of my solo when I'm just in my office.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful process. I like that idea. Good for you.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Happy to pass that wonderful nugget along because that one has been a lifesaver for me. The other thing I picked
Yes.
up from Lynette, which was absolutely life changing for my editing process, was using the spectrogram on the waveform because I
Yes.
can math clicks in particular, show up very bright on the spectrogram.
Yes.
Makes it super easy to find them. Same with S's. I can see where my S's and my F's are distinctly. I can see where my breaths are distinctly. It's not just a waveform. I can see it in color. Like,
Yes.
okay, it's clearly right here. This is where my breath is.
Right.
So it makes editing so much easier than trying to find it in the waveform itself. Those two things I picked up from Lynette about the splitter and the spectrogram have just been helped me so much. Shout out to
Wow.
Lynette. You're
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. I miss Lynette actually. Haven't seen them in a while. But that's awesome. And I did know about the splitter, but I just didn't, I don't know, my brain wasn't putting it together. Thank you for putting
You're
my brain
welcome.
together for me. Let's talk about your booth.
Yeah, so currently I have a 2-inch foam. I have kind of like a 3/4 enclosed booth that's laid out with 2-inch pyramid style foam. And I have a decorative tapestry in front of it. And of course I don't have real bass traps. I don't really have I'm not a bassy person, so it doesn't affect me quite as much. It doesn't hurt,
Hmm.
of course, if you have them. But I've used some stuffed animals and pillows and stuff that I had kicking around that were not being used. So that helps to absorb sound. I have some very creative method of using an old foam mattress topper to help absorb sound as well. And I do have an opening. I'll probably at some point upgrade and try and enclose the fourth side. It's like 2/3 enclosed right now on the fourth side. But
Okay.
I don't really have that much issue with reverb in my area, which is phenomenal. It's only when I get super, super loud. And then
Yes.
I might have to edit it out a little bit.
Okay.
But usually it's not an issue. I'm not doing a lot of yelling in my booth, especially for audiobooks. They're very generally quiet or normal talking, so it works great.
Right. 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 Yeah, it would be more the action books that you might have
Yes.
some yelling.
But if I were to do it again, I would probably if I had the resources and I plan to upgrade my booth at some point, I probably will build like a standalone booth that is fully enclosed that I can
Okay.
close the door on. That would be probably my next upgrade step if I might just put like an audio blanket across the last side for now, but getting an enclosed booth so it's all contained
Yep.
is even better with helping to reduce sound from the noise. I live near an airport. I live near a highway. I have trains nearby.
Yes.
It's like we
Yes.
got plenty of all those people that love their mufflers and loud cars
Yes.
and
Yes.
the ambulances and fire department that goes by occasionally. So it's
Exactly.
reality. I have my window in my room completely blocked with 4 inches of foam right now. And if anyone's thinking about building a booth, we actually recommend 4-inch foam because it absorbs more. It's better than 2-inch. Don't get the 1-inch. It's not worth it. It will not really help you that much.
Yeah,
So,
I started with 1 inch
mm.
and then upgraded to 2 inch.
Yeah, it looks nice, but it doesn't help much, unfortunately.
And so, again, so you've got the corner of a room that's treated.
Hmm.
Some people will record in their closet.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and you can get great sound out of an enclosed closet.
Absolutely, as long as it's stuffed with all kinds of material that can
Yeah,
absorb the sound. For instance, your clothing.
you say closet, I say vocal booth. Well,
That works. That works. Some people build a pillow and blanket fort,
Yeah,
which can be uncomfortable, I guess, if you're, trying to crouch down in it. But
it does get warm. And ventilation is important. Yeah.
well, every booth actually gets
Yes.
my booth gets super warm, like sweating to death a lot of times, and you
Well,
gotta take a break, open the door, and take a breather.
I have to turn a fan on. I think the foam does help absorb some of the heat, and it's like, okay, I open the door for circulation, but I have to turn a fan on too to cool it down faster
Okay.
because it's just. But yeah, when you live
Yes.
in the south, it does have that effect when temperatures increase,
Yep.
or in the north when you have a heat wave, as recently experienced by many people.
Exactly. So again, if we're talking about audiobooks and we're talking about being in the booth for up to a couple of hours at a time, um, it does get hot. So make sure you're hydrated, which we didn't even
Yeah,
talk about. Hydration is so important, not only
definitely.
for your health, but it helps to reduce mouth clicks. So,
It's a wonderful tactic, and I encourage people start hydrating a couple hours before you plan to record. It really does. It takes your body time to absorb the water and then have that moisture in your body. So if you try and chug a whole bunch of water right before you record,
right.
it might help some, but it's not going to have as much effect as if you were hydrated before you started.
Right. So, in the world of narration and voice acting, do you have any tips for folks?
Um, what I like to do, I tend to record like 30 minutes to an hour at a time, and I'll just record as much as I can. And if I start feeling my throat starting to sound off or dry, or even with my hydrating, your voice will tend to go after a while. So I know I can comfortably record for like half an hour to an hour easily enough, and I get through as many chapters as I can. I come to a complete, I try to record a whole chapter in a go if I can. um, if obviously if you have a long chapter, you might have to stop at a logical stopping point and
Right.
pick back up. But I found that having shorter recording sessions where I can then go and edit for a while and let my voice take a break, and then maybe record again later in the day, once or twice more depending on how urgent it is. Typically I can record easily enough 2 times a day, and it gives me time for editing on the other times while I'm recuperating, but that keeps my voice pretty steady without feeling like it's strained or
Yes.
overexerted.
And beyond that, any gold nuggets for people? You've already said a ton of stuff that hopefully people are paying attention and taking notes. But anything else that comes to your mind at all?
Tea. Tea is wonderful. Hot tea or
Tea.
warm tea, honey, lemon ginger tea. Another one that's really helpful, especially if you feel like your throat's like, oh, it's a little sore, or it's a little strained, it's kind of feeling rough in there. Throat coat. Throat coat tea it tastes a little funny if you're not used to it, but um,
Yes.
it works, and it does help keep your throat soothed and able to record longer if you need to. And like you
Okay.
said, you can record up to a couple hours if you got nice soothed throat and you're hydrated. Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely doable. Some people, I heard one person say that they use cough drops to coat their throat. Um, I'm like, it's interesting. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, maybe there's a certain kind of cough drop because I mean, I would think
Honey
anything
lemon
that's
or
really
something. Yeah,
sugary might make your voice, your mouth a little
sticky.
clicky. So,
Yeah,
but
that is possible.
again, everybody's body is different, right? So, for them, apparently, cough drops works.
Yeah, some people recommend green apples for the clicks too, and I haven't really tried that out. But I do enjoy having like apple juice and water. I like cut it with
Hmm,
water,
okay.
and I haven't had any issues with that.
Yeah, the
Um,
green apple thing works like a charm for some folks. I have tried it. It does not work for me. But again, other people swear by it. So
yeah,
try it. That's the bottom line, right? Try it. If it helps, then great.
exactly. One person recommended like quench gum. Apparently, it's supposed to be very liquidy or something. Haven't tried it, can't recommend, but I've heard that. So just
Right.
passing it along in case anyone else finds it useful.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you never know what's going to be helpful and what isn't. So
Recognizing
try
your
it.
limits. Yeah. That's one of the things you learn as you go, how far you can go. And, you know, it is kind of like training and exercise. If you push yourself a little bit further each time, you might get farther than you think.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I'm up to about an hour and a half seems to be my limit. And that's if I can stand being in a super hot booth for that
Yeah,
long without, turning into a puddle, you know.
that's great.
Yeah, it is, but then sometimes I don't really I push myself too much and I knew I should have stopped because a lot of the audio towards the end I can't even use because I
Mm,
can tell that I'm tired, and if I can tell in
yeah.
listening back, and everybody else can
Yeah.
too.
With narration, the idea is to sound consistent throughout the whole book if you can.
Exactly.
So,
And just because I'm in the booth for an hour and a half, of course, does not mean I've got an hour and a half of usable audio.
yeah.
So, it's
Yeah.
like for me, it's about half. So I probably got about 45 minutes. But
My goal is to try and get at least 30 finish minutes done a day if I can. So obviously you have to record more than that to get your 30 finished minutes. But that's my general rule of thumb goal is to shoot for that.
so let's switch gears and talk about some of the things that you do that's still in that world, but it's not narration. It's not you doing the voice acting. What do you do besides?
I also create demos for people, demo samplers and full demos. I've been told people like them, so I'll go with that. That I have fun creating them, making them come to life. I've definitely had some that were, from newer voice artists, which you can tell when you listen to it. It doesn't sound like it's an experienced voice actor, but with what I like to call engineering magic,
Yes.
you can make stuff sound pretty awesome. When you add the right music and sound effects and timing and stuff, and clean it up, of course, if needed. So yeah, I really enjoy creating demos for people and demo samplers.
And I've
So
heard your demos, and they're really good.
thank you.
Very impressive. Of course, so much so that I'm going to be hiring you to do mine, of course.
That'll be lovely. I'd be happy to.
And I don't mind doing that stuff, obviously. I love to edit and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've created my own demo and all that stuff. But I'm like, you know what? I want Melody to do it.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that whole process.
That'll be fun.
How can people, if they, well, first of all, what is the criteria for you doing a demo for someone?
So right now, I have a friend who is willing to write character scripts, but I generally don't do the script writing. So you'll need to have someone, or you write yourself a script, or find Chat GPT if you want them to write a script for you. But basically, you just need a couple of lines, 2 or 3 sentences per script that covers like a moment. Um, if you're going for character script, of course. If you're going for commercial or something else, they have varying requirements for scripts and what they're expected. You'll want to look for commercial or e-learning or um, corporate scripts. You'll want to look at what the trends are and what people are doing. That's half the battle, is knowing what the industry is looking for right now
Right.
and the type of read they're looking for. Like right now, commercials are a lot more assertive. They
Yeah.
kind of follow the current government. However,
Yeah.
the current government goes. I've heard JMC talk about that, and he says that's the direction people tend to follow. So right now, they're more of the assertive type of commercials, is what the trend is. It was mostly guy or girl next door conversational for commercials, and then
Yes.
now it's going a
Absolutely.
little more like this is my point. Period. Take it or leave it. I don't care if you take it or leave it. For character scripts, you come up with a moment, a scene where something's happening or you're envisioning something, and you want to have maybe 5 or 6 short moments, and then we create. You'll record. I can direct, or you can self direct, or you can have another person direct you. You record, send me wave files, high quality. Don't do any editing. I'll handle all the editing. So send me raw, and I will create the scenes for you, and I'll send you individual spots as well as the full demo. I'll do a full demo. Like if it's long, I'll still give you the full demo, and then I'll give you a shortened version that meets industry standards, which is like a minute to a minute and a half. So and that way, if you want to go forward in the future and you want to switch out some of the spots as your career grows and you got more and better as we learn, that's great. That gives you flexibility to use some or whatever you want to do. So
Okay.
I just don't do the scripts for the most part, but I'll edit and I can direct.
Do you think that people just getting started should bother with a demo?
That's a trick question. Yes, to a degree. Demo. So what they want to call it is demo samples. If you're not ready for a demo, people in the industry can hear a beginner demo from a mile away. If they're experienced at all, if you're an agent listening to it, especially, they're like, okay, this person does not know what they're doing. Next, you know. So you could actually hurt your chances by using a not ready demo. So what the workaround is, yeah, because a lot of places will be like, oh, send me your demo or drop your demo here or whatever. So the workaround is you create demo samples, which are like the spots I was mentioning that go into a demo. So you just create samples. They can be with music or without music and effects, whatever. Just something that demonstrates your range. It could, if you're looking for a character one, you want to have what kind of voices can you comfortably do? You definitely want to have your regular voice. You don't want to have anything ideally with effects if you're just doing samples because their engineer will handle adding effects
Okay.
generally. It's okay to have some effects in there, and I use effects on my demos too, but it's not the focus. It'll be like a little cherry on top here and there. But you want to have what can you do with your voice? Can you go older? Can you go younger, higher, lower? Do you have any accents? Um, what kind of emotions can you show? You want to have, can you do a sad scene? Can you do an angry scene? Can you do, guy next door scene? Like, this is a slice of life. Those genuine moments are good to show too. In addition to all the cool, if you love Dragon Ball Z and you're a really good screamer, great. Put that as one of your samples. You know, um, but just create samples that you can string your samples together, but just label the sample. That's very important. Don't call it a demo because there's certain expectations that go with the word demo. So you want to call it a demo sample or samples. But that's what you can use, and that's perfectly fine for
Okay.
newer, for starting out.
Okay. As a person that creates demos, do you, if somebody, I was to come to you and say, okay, Melody, I would like you to make me a demo. Do you take what I give you for audio because you don't really know. You don't know by somebody asking you if they're ready or not. Do you take what I give you and say, hmm, this is really, you're not really ready for a demo. What you've given me is not great for demo material. Either you need to go back and keep working, or I can make you samples. Do you let people know that?
Yeah, I haven't had that situation come across very much yet, fortunately. But yeah, if someone came to me and you could tell they want a demo, I can make you a demo, but you probably should call it a sampler.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm not going to say I'm not making you a demo. If, hey, it's your career, I can give
Mhm.
you my 2 cents about it and I'll be honest with you about it, you know. But on the other hand, if you want a demo, sure, I can put something together for you and it'll sound amazing. Can you sound that way, you know,
Right.
whenever you whenever you get the job? Cuz
Right.
that's the expectation. If you can sound amazing in your demo, can you sound that way when you're
Yeah.
hired to do the job. So
Right. Right. That is the point.
a lot of the coaches and instructors, you know, my job is just making the demos, and I'm happy to put something together for someone who's interested, you know, and having something to show. I got no problem with doing that and facilitating a career. And I'll give you my 2 cents and I'll be honest with you about it. But on the other hand, a lot of coaches will be like, you're not ready. Or, you know, you need to work, let's work a little bit more. Let's put a few more hours in together and get you where you need to be to showcase an actual demo. For example, JMC, you know, J. Michael Collins, he will listen to a sample you sent him. And if he says you're not ready, he's not going to make you a demo. Same with Deb. You know, if Deb doesn't think you're ready for it, she's not going to make you a demo, because it comes back to the demo creator too, to a degree, and your coach that says you were ready for this, and you're being put out there as a legit
Hmm.
voice actors ready to do stuff. I'm not a coach. You know, I just create demos and make you sound amazing. So if you're not ready, that's kind of on you if you want to go forth with it. But it'll be a phenomenal demo for you, or better yet, samples that you can use. And then when you're
Right.
ready, we'll make another one.
Right. Typically, if you're in the industry for any length of time, you don't just have one demo. You
No.
you typically have a demo for as long as it's still in effect in terms of your capabilities. Once you
Yeah.
outgrow that demo, you do another demo.
Exactly. It's not a one and done period, you know. And if you do a demo too early, and you know, 6 months down the line, your skills have improved drastically, then you wasted your money on your demo.
Right.
You know. But yeah, and as far as that goes, people have demos for all genres too. You can have a general character demo. You can do an animation demo. You can do a video game demo, an interactive demo. You know, you could do commercial, corporate e-learning. If you want to do IVR, which is for like phone systems and stuff, phone messaging on hold, message on hold, you know, the pros will have a demo for everything. If you want
Right.
to do political campaigns, they'll make a political demo. You know, it just showcases your talents and abilities and more specific details within that genre of voice acting. Narration is, of course, another type of demo. There's so many opportunities and so many different twists on how to do things, that when you have that category, then you can delve within that category. Like, you want the commercial that's monotone and bland, you know, we don't care, whatever, this is, you know, my commercial, take it or leave it. Or you can, then you have the, hey, how you doing, the next guy and the girl next door. And then you have the assertive, you have the anthem type of demo, like empower and, you know, let's inspire the nation to do this, or inspire you to buy our product because we're amazing. There's all kinds of different subs that would then go into that demo that make that category of demo. Showcases your range to anyone looking for that category.
So going back to the demo, if people out there create a demo for themselves and they do 5 different spots, and each one sounds like, I don't know, they're reading or something. That's spot 1. And then spot 2, they have a different pitch to their voice, but it sounds like they're reading. And then spot 3, there's no variety. I mean, I get that a lot of people probably think, yeah, but I changed the pitch of my voice. Now I'm talking like I'm Minnie Mouse. Well, that does not constitute variety, does it?
Having a different vocal sound is good. But yeah, there's so many other things that would go into it. You know, like I said, different emotions. You don't want to sound like you're reading typically. In voice acting in general, you generally don't want to sound like you're reading. I mean, narration's one thing. If you were reading an audiobook, it's one thing. And even then, to take it to the next level, you still don't want to sound like you're reading in an audiobook. You want to make it sound like you're storytelling. You're telling the story, you're bringing it to life. It's not just reading words on a page.
Right.
So if you're reading just words on a page, you really encourage you to continue taking some more classes, get some more training under your belt. Voice acting 101 at closing credits is excellent for putting you on the right path to get started with voice acting. Jamil Burger has done an excellent job with really making this a class worth taking to start your skills. And I really enjoyed voice acting 201 through closing credits. I learned how to be emotional. I my background is very I don't have a lot of emotion in when I talk generally.
Okay.
I'm not a very emotional person. It takes a lot to get me angry. It takes a lot to really push my buttons. I'm a very patient person. My mom was a teacher, and I inherited that patience, fortunately.
Nice.
But 201, where you have it's called the emotional roller coaster, kind of the nickname for it. And I learned it's okay to show those other emotions, to bring them into your voice acting. And what we think might sound over the top in voice acting, it probably isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You think
Mm-hmm.
you're being way over dramatic, and it's not. It's like
Right.
you'd barely notice the difference. So really removing those barriers and letting yourself go. Yeah, that that really comes back to your demo question. So having those different levels of emotion, different scenes, different moments, urgent, not urgent. There's ways to make your demos samples or your demos different for each
Right.
spot, and that's the ideal. You want to show your range in demos. So if you're hired, hey, this person can do this, this, or this. It's just showing a sample of what you can do.
How can people get in touch with you?
I'll give you my website so you can drop it into your comments. But it's Melody Rainelle. Rainelle is spelled Rainelle. So Melody Rainelle dot card with two R's, CARRD dot co.
Got it.
melodyrainelle.card.co. And I'll give that to you too. You can plop it in your links to make it easy. But you can contact me through my website there. You can find me on Casting Call Club. You can find me on Discord. You can look me up there. My it's Melody Rainelle, just all together one, is my Discord handle. Um, I'm on Voice123. I'm on Backstage. I'm on, I'm across the internet. But the website's the easiest place to go to find my
Yes.
contact information, see what I'm working on. I'm also on X/Twitter. I'm out there if you look for me, Melody
Okay.
Rainelle.
So if somebody has a book they might want you to narrate, say, they
Yeah,
could reach out to you. If
absolutely.
they need a demo, want a demo or samples, they could reach out to you as well.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. That'd be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you so much for doing this with me. And
Thanks for the invite.
thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and all of the wonderful little tidbits of information that people out there are scooping up and can start their voice acting career or continue their voice. I'm sure we've covered things that established voice actors didn't even think about.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, thank you so, so very much for doing this with me.
Thanks for having me, Janae. It's been
And
fun.
all the information will be in the notes.